Okay, Dad, before the season, we were talking about lumps. It was lump theory. The Niners really wanted to prepare everyone for the worst case scenario of them not being good. Now they're 2-0 and they're winning close games late with their defense, and they've won with two different quarterbacks. Are they exceeding expectations, their own, ours, in your eyes?
Iggy, that lump quote, we're going to take our lumps, was from Lynch, and it's one of the worst quotes he ever uttered in public
Mhm,
because the defense is not taking its lumps. It's playing
mhm,
beautifully. So he was wrong. Okay.
mhm.
So are they playing above expectations? Hold on. I would say no. Forget me a minute. You had them winning these two games
Yeah.
when we did the mock schedule, right? Mock results. You had them at 2-0, and that's why you have that beautiful bottle of
I
Cabernet.
did. I did.
Yes. So I would say they're doing what at least you, and you know more about the current team than I do, what you expected. So I say no, they're doing what people expected.
I mean, that game in Seattle was closer than I expected. They needed that miraculous catch from Tonjes to win. They got it. And then against the Saints, that game was closer than I expected. I mean, they only won by 5. The Saints had the ball at the end, and on their first drive, they dropped a touchdown and missed a field goal. It was like a handful of plays could have changed that one. So if they beat the Cardinals, maybe I'll say they're exceeding expectations, although the Cardinals might be missing all 3 of their cornerbacks. It's unclear at this point. But the Cardinals are definitely a lot better than the teams the Niners have faced so far. Are they a lot better than the Seahawks? I don't know about that. They're a lot like the Seahawks. They're similar to the Seahawks.
Um, what I like about the Cardinals, we're going to talk. No, we're going to talk about that in a bit.
Mhm.
Um, I think Iggy, if they beat the Cardinals, even though it's at home, I think it's a big deal. And I think 3-0 to start the season, there's no way you can put it down if that were to happen. And it's true, both of the games they won were close. Iggy, they won. And
Mhm.
as I've said a million times, there is an absolute difference between a W and an L. It's not a bad win or a good loss. There's no such thing as a good loss or a bad win. A win is a win. It's an absolute truth in that universe. So they're doing what we expected. If they beat Arizona and are 3-0, Iggy, I'm going to say it's a hell of a start.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I think the expectations for most people is that the Niners offense would be better than their defense early on in the season. That while the defense, quote unquote, took its lumps and experienced growing pains, all those cliches, the offense would carry them. But the offense is already injured, and the defense is ranked 7th in points allowed and 6th in yards allowed. Seventh fewest. The offense is ranked 18th in points scored and 8th in yards gained. So right now, statistically, the defense is better than the offense. I think that's exceeding expectations.
I would have to agree. And it points Iggy to the fact that this Salah, I don't know about him as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he has to be in the top 5 in the league. I'd say there's no question.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as a head coach, he probably would have succeeded if Kyle Shanahan were his offensive coordinator. So when I'm feeling really generous to the Niners, I just sometimes think of them as being Salah's team with Kyle calling the plays on offense. Because if that were the setup, I would be much more confident in them. And maybe that is their setup, kind of. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, and download the app now. Kind of.
No. The
No.
head coach is Kyle Shanahan. Is no kind of. He's the head coach. And he gets credit for bringing Salah back after he screwed up 2 years in a row. Although Wilkes, I want to give him a little credit, but he gets credit for bringing him back, and he gets credit for being 2-0. Iggy, I
Sure, he
don't.
does.
I'm not sparing the credit.
When Salah and D'Amico were gone, I felt like the defense, while it had moments, was kind of lifeless. And we would talk about where's the effort? Why aren't they chasing plays? Where's the run defense? Salah comes back, and all of a sudden the defense is like, on crack. It's like it's the effort through the roof. And I think Kyle's a really smart guy, and he's an asset to your organization. But there is no emotional component with him. and there is with Saleh. So whether or not Saleh's the head coach or not, because he's not, he definitely balances out Kyle in a way that Kyle needs. They balance each other out.
I would agree with you. I've never met Kyle, but I watch a lot of video and stuff. He doesn't seem to have that emotional component.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what he's like in the locker room alone, but Salah oozes it on the
Mhm.
sideline when you talk to him. This is a man of twinkling eyes
Mhm.
and great vitality and
Yeah.
high football intelligence.
Whereas Kyle's more on like the Bill Belichick, younger Bill Belichick side of the spectrum of serious. I mean, like at least it's his on sideline demeanor, as opposed to Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur who are running around and they're like high energy. Kyle's thinking.
Yeah, he's sort of like a geek. He's a football geek, and
Mhm.
and he's in love with his plays. I'm a little uncomfortable with the Belichick comparison to Kyle, and I'll tell you why. Belichick is a sourpuss, and I've never met him, but as I've seen him, I thought he was an unpleasant man.
Mm.
I don't consider Kyle unpleasant. I consider him somewhat dour.
Mm. That's a
Um,
good distinction. Yeah, Belichick
yeah.
was way beyond dour.
Oh God,
He
and
was dour on
also
his best days.
I agree. And
Yeah.
also, if you ask Belichick even rudimentary questions, he would get his back up. You
Yep.
can ask Kyle anything.
That's true.
He tries to answer honestly. I think as a media person, I would much rather cover Kyle than Belichick any day of the week.
I completely agree.